So I'm about 6 to 8 weeks away from my last frost date, and so I need to start seriously thinking about starting seeds. Now, my little greenhouse outside is not really usable yet because it's still a little too cold at night, so I'm going to be making sure that I can set up a system in here in my indoor grow tent to get some seeds started. So in this video, you're gonna see me make some seed starting soil. You're also gonna see me go out to my barn to grab some miscellaneous materials to hopefully get a good platform set up in here so that I can get my grow lights to germinate some seeds. So stay tuned.
So I went on the internet and I did some research and found a basic recipe for seed starting soil mix, and that is with perlite, vermiculite, coconut coir or peat moss, and worm castings. So I'm lucky I have all of those. I did purchase the perlite and the vermiculite and the coconut coir. So I am going to mix all of those up. The recipe seems pretty simple, so I'm fairly confident that I'll be able to make a good seed starting soil mix. And I do think these materials are going to last me quite a while based on the amount I was able to make, as you're going to see in this video. So I start off by warming up the coconut coir brick so it breaks up with some warm water. It's actually kind of more hot than warm, but as you can see from the steam. After that sits for about 30 minutes and really breaks down, I throw in some old potting soil that I had left over from last season. Not a lot, just a little bit. As well as some perlite, and then I'm going to throw in just a tad bit of vermiculite as well. Now I know the perlite is really good for aerating the soil, and seeds need space. They need a light soil, they need good aeration, so the perlite's going to do that, and then the vermiculite's going to hold in some moisture as well. So I did see a recipe where there was a small ratio of vermiculite in the seed starting mix. So I did throw in a little bit. Now, I'm not doing everything by perfect ratios, so this is all just quite an experiment. Then I head to my kitchen where I have a worm composting bin. There are hundreds and hundreds of worms in that bin. I do throw in some old soil from time to time, so you're going to see a lot of fibrous chunks and woody parts in there. And so I've got to sift those out. So I do have a very small sifter, and so I am basically just going to sit there for a while, and I'm going to take scoopfuls of my worm soil and just going to sift out for those worm castings. The texture feels really nice and soft, and I just continue to do this for quite a while. This is the most tedious part because my little sifter is very small. I was doing very small batches throughout the day, and I was being pretty meticulous, making sure I take out the worms and save those worms to put them back into my worm composting bin. But I wanted to make sure I got as many good of that black gold, they call it black gold, but as many of those worm castings as possible. And so I did that several times until I felt like I had enough. Then I headed out to my barn, and in the back of my barn, I have a stack of bricks. These bricks were left on the property when I got here. So I am going to use these to set up my indoor grow space. Now, in my indoor grow tent right now, you're going to see in a minute that it is just, it's not ready yet for seed starting. I also don't really have a good table or platform that is nice and flat and strong. So I look around and I find this old shelving board, again, also left on the property when I bought it. So I grab that and throw that in the cart. This is what my grow tent looks like right now. It's quite messy. I have a jade plant that's gonna go, and some bottles of fertilizer and some old trellis material, fabric pot. So I am cleaning all that mess up, getting that out of there to make space for a platform that I'm going to create out of bricks and that piece of shelving that you saw me pull from the barn. So I grabbed the good thing is that I'm lucky because this has a nice little water catch at the bottom, so I'm able to just take that up, empty everything out outside. It doesn't need to be perfect. I obviously could have washed that down a little bit more. As you see here, I'm measuring. I'm trying to make sure my shelving unit fits, and actually it does, and it does quite well too. It's pretty perfect length. Now I wanted more space to put plants and seeds down, so I went into my bunk bed room and grabbed an old piece of bunk bed wood. Now at first I thought that whiteboard that you see there was going to work. I wasn't really thinking it through though. As you're going to see in a minute, I changed my mind because once I get the bricks in there and I start stacking up my bricks, I first go to 4 levels of bricks, 4 layers of bricks, thinking that that was going to be a good height. And then when I get my board in there, I realize actually the board's a little bit too long. While it fits nicely width-wise or lengthwise, or however, the width is just too long and it sticks out, and I actually can't zip up my grow tent because it's too long. So I go back into my bunk room and I find 2 smaller pieces. And those fit perfectly. And as you can see, I can close the grow tent. So I was quite happy with that. And then, so I was like, okay, now I'm ready to bring down my lights. And then I quickly realized that that is as far as the grow light can go down, based on the, outlet cord. It cannot reach any farther down. So then I was like, okay, I've got to make my stand taller. So out I went to get more bricks, and I ended up settling on a stack of 10. So it's 10 bricks high, and I had to make quite a few trips to the barn. As you can see here, that is one of my trips. Came back in, stacked up my bricks all the way to 10, and the middle looks a little slanted, but it's actually pretty good. And I took a measuring tape to measure the distance between the platform, the little tabletop I made, and the light, and it's about 4 to 5 inches. So I thought that was pretty good. And I wanted to make sure that I could fit all of my seed starting trays where I wanted them. So I just did a quick layout to see how many I could fit. And this is all the trays that I have. It's actually not all the trays I have, but it's the ones I'm going to use today. So I have never started seeds in an egg carton, so I'm hoping it works. I have definitely seen plenty of YouTube videos where people have used egg cartons as seed trays, so I know it's possible. It'll just be a matter of can I get a good germination and can it get a good start. So as you can see here, I'm filling up all of my seed trays and putting in some seeds. And then what I'm sprinkling on top is the vermiculite, because I was told the vermiculite is what holds in the moisture. So I decided on some sweet peppers, some yellow onion, some broccoli and beets, as well as some eggplant and more onion, and then that's pretty much it for now. I will be direct sowing some seeds outside later, but thanks so much for watching, and fingers crossed that we get some good seeds coming in a few weeks.